So next question. Does the changing behavior affect your business? If yes, how does it affect you? So let's start with Hero. Okay, so next question from one of the uh, listener from Monis Rahman. Can you give specific examples of how you change your product to fit the market? So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the first question. To Chris, let's start with Krishnan.
Sure. So it's not one thing, and then that's been my biggest learning. So when we started, so I'm never a product guy. This is my first time doing pure product business. So for me it was a shock of my life. I don't know if you've seen the movie 12 Angry Men. So it's a movie of how 12 very logical people try to decide if this X guy murdered someone or not. It's one of the most best movies ever. And our our early team was really a bit like that. Me, my co-founder, a couple of others sitting, and everything sounds logical. So we would say, "Oh, let's do that. Oh, let's do this," and you'll get product market fit, right? So the biggest learning from that was that go hire good people. So we hired. It brings back to our philosophy too, that we're trying to do an old problem in a very new DNA. So our product lead is from Zynga, a gaming company, right? And games have an innate behavior of early funnel optimizations. Gaming industry, if you look at it, is all about early funnel optimizations, micro funnel optimizations, showing the value of the product early, and also creating viral loops and retention loops, right? So really that made a big difference. We got a SVP product from Zynga, so that was great. Very unaffordable, but good risk taken at the right time. And then beyond that, it was really all the little things that we did. So back then we had a home page. A user would land on the home page, and then he would navigate to a transaction page. We eliminated the whole home page. So it's all these little things that you keep changing in the product. Because you know the problem exists, right? It's not a new you know the problem exists. That's why you jumped onto it. So from there, it's a lot of iterations that you do that gets you to a point where, okay, now it's clicking, right? And it's constant. It's still our retention rates are continuing to improve. So it's not like it's there's still a lot of work to be done.
Okay. And you changed the name, right?
Yeah, so when we launched, it was called Bcash. And the reason, my rationale there was nobody outside Indonesia would join a company called Bukukas because it doesn't sound, let's say, fancy, right? So that was the idea. But within 3 weeks of launch, we realized, okay, because my maid used to call it Bechash. And I said, okay, this is not going to work. Let's find the right name. And actually, that name helped a lot because there is no confusion. If you hear the word Bukukas, you pretty much know what exactly it does. And then that played a good role, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it has to, the target market has to know what this is about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Krishnan. And how about you?
Yeah. So for us, it was about kind of replacing an existing kind of procedure process, right? And it was easier to do that in Indonesia because we removed the element of having to go to the bank. But in Singapore, it was much more difficult because you still can't make a transfer online. And what we're doing was we were adding an additional step, right? So how Wallets works is once you add your transaction details, who you want to send to, how much, and what currency, you would have to log out and then go to your banking portal, send the money to our accounts, and we would process it. So that inconvenience of adding an extra step, we had to somehow make it worthwhile, right? So it was either to make it very seamless, nice UI, UX, and so forth. And I guess I don't know why, but back then, early on, we wanted to add all these cool features, right? Add market commentary, FX graphs, kind of split out, sending money, and conversions have like a wallet element. But what it turned out was, what we realized was, by giving so many options for the customers to choose, they got confused, right? So we went back to the drawing board, told ourselves, okay, what do we want the customers to do when they log in? We want them to transact. So we stripped out a lot of stuff. We made it just simple kind of few buttons here and there, so to lead the customers to make their first transactions instead of checking this out, checking that out. So yeah, glad to kind of make that change early on. And then what we realized was that it's okay to add these features, but once, but there's a sort of like an education process to go on, right? You can't just add everything at once. You need to roll things out one by one, that the customers will use, and it's not a nice to have. So I think that's an example of how some of the early product changes that we did to lead our customers, especially in Singapore, to transact. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Hira. So we've got some more questions from Moniz, but the questions are for Krishnan. So how do you acquire your merchants? Is it through social media ads? And how do you get them active on your app, since it's a more complex workflow for first-timers?
Definitely a lot of digital channels, but not just paid marketing, but also there's a lot of virality and there's a lot of organic as well. So we obviously social media, Facebook, Instagram, Google UAC, all of that we do. But on top, we do a lot of product hacks. Like for example, one of the features we have is called Zakat. So we realized that all our merchants, or a good chunk of our merchants, one of the reasons they use our app is because they don't like to calculate, right? They just don't like to calculate. So we knew that Zakat was a very common theme, especially in our segment. People are very religious. So we just put a simple Zakat calculator. So it just does 2.5% of your monthly profits, and then we also enable them to share a message which reminds their friends that, hey, don't forget to pay your zakat this month, right? Like so these kind of small hacks. We haven't done enough of it. We have to do more of it, but these kind of small hacks definitely played a big role in the growth journey outside the traditional digital marketing channels. The second question was about how do you keep it active? Again, this is really funnel optimizations that you learn. So you look at, again, where are the users dropping off next to, who are the ones staying, why do they stay, and what is the guy next to it missing, right? And then you can realize something as silly as, okay, people are not seeing this button at all, and you need to highlight it more. Only the people with very high level of drive are actually seeing it, but that's only the top 10%, right? So the other people don't have the drive. They are sort of window shopping, and how do you convert a window shopper really fast? So it's a lot of research, a lot of product analysis. It's really micro things much more than it's not because we did one big thing that it suddenly worked, yeah.
Okay. And are there any trainings for the merchants, online or physical events?
No, we don't do anything. The whole concept is behind. See, if you want to build a very, very large business, you need to have very large distribution. And if you want to have very large distribution, it has to be self-onboarding. So the product needs to be self-explanatory. And of course, there's a FAQ page, but we launched it, I think, 2 months ago or 1 month ago, which is a bit too late. We could have saved some users if we had launched it a bit earlier. But yeah, the whole approach has been self-onboarding. So there's absolutely no training.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the next question, I will hand it over to Arya.
Thank you, Adi. So next question is, what do you think will be the trend for MSME market in the post-COVID era?